You're listening to the Reds Podcast.
This is a special Christmas episode. I've got 7 marketing lessons from Jesus Christ and Christianity that you can use to grow your business, spread your message. That's coming up on this special episode of the Red Podcast.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
Today's Christmas, so I thought it would be a great time to talk to you about Jesus, specifically marketing in Jesus. What would happen if Jesus, instead of turning water into wine, healing lepers, or walking on water, had a blog to promote? What if he was trying to position himself as an expert? How would he market himself? More importantly, what can you learn from the way Jesus and Christianity have been marketed? In this episode, I'm going to share 7 core marketing lessons you can use to sell more copies of your book, get more attention for your blog, and promote other products that you're selling. Before I get started, I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to convert anyone. This is about marketing, looking at a historic religious figure. That is all. So let's get to it. Number 1, start with a core group. Don't get caught up in the numbers and statistics. Numbers don't matter. People do. Jesus had 12 apostles who were willing to put everything on the line for him. That kind of loyalty is worth more than thousands or even tens of thousands of people who just kind of like you, which is what most businesses have. What you want for your business and what you should be focusing on are the core super fans who will not only buy everything that you release and come to every event that you do, but also tell their friends and the strangers they meet about you. Way too often, we neglect our biggest, most loyal fans. We remove the human element from our audience and we think of them as numbers. But numbers don't spread our messages to others. Passionate people do. Numbers don't buy our products. Passionate people do. And numbers don't read our blogs or listen to our podcast. Passionate people do. How can you encourage this? Focus on your core group of followers, regardless of how many there are, and let the numbers take care of themselves. Number 2, don't be shy. When you're selling something, that's not the time to be timid. You don't have to be overly aggressive, but you don't want to come across like you don't care either. Way too often, people approach sales like this. Well, if it's convenient for you, if it's not raining, maybe you could think about spending a little money with me? That doesn't work. How would an enthusiastic Christian get somebody to go to church? If it's convenient, it doesn't cut it. It's more like this. Church starts at 10:30 on Sunday morning, but you want to get a good seat. I'll pick you up at 9 a.m. so we can be sure to get a pew right up front. I'll bring the coffee and donuts. And then he follows up on it. Now, I'm not saying you need to act like an Amway rep or force something down another person's throat. And let's be honest, sometimes people trying to get you to go to church, they're going to do that. You've experienced it. I've experienced it. But you do need to be enthusiastic and make things easy and fun to get people to say yes. Number 3, know what you're actually selling. Churches, through belief in Jesus, offer eternal life and also forgiveness of sin. Now, on paper, that looks pretty good to get people in the door, but it's not. For one, you don't need to go to church to get to Jesus. People know that, at least if they believe what Jesus said when he said, "For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them." Read Matthew 18:20 if you want more info on that. So let's be honest about what you're really being offered by the church and why people attend. It's the social aspect. Most people at church value playing on the church softball team or eating fried chicken with their friends every Sunday more than they value entry into heaven. Heaven comes later, but friends you can hang out with and eat fried chicken with, that can be experienced today, right now. You don't believe me? Listen, take the social elements out of your church and see how long it stays in business. If you go to church, I know that's very depressing. And if you've got a business, I know that's very depressing, especially when you have your great ideas that you want to share. But knowing why people actually buy even if it's secondary to your mission, is what will enable you to stay in business. For example, when it comes to live events like book signings or seminars, for most people, the social experience is more important than the event itself. People don't care about the content being shared nearly as much as they care about the social elements. Seeing people they know, being seen by the people that they know, and feeling like they're a part of something. Always keep this in mind. But aren't the live events you do about sharing important knowledge with people? Yeah, some pastors think that way. But you, like most pastors, are not most people. You are not your audience. You're in much deeper than they are when it comes to your topic. And they like things differently than you like them. The bottom line is this. If people are spending money with you, you can keep writing books, writing blog posts, and spreading whatever message that you want to spread. And you can focus on those that are there for the right reason, but don't neglect those customers that are just there. Number 4, social proof. It's easier to sell an idea when you have a lot of people who already buy into it. Let's take Saddleback Church, for example, founded by Rick Warren. It has an average weekly attendance of 20,000 people. You know this guy. He wrote a book called The Purpose-Driven Life. He's got a great marketing book. Even if you're not Christian, it's called The Purpose-Driven Church. It talks about building a community. Fantastic read. So how did he do this? Follow lesson number 1. Start with a core group. The numbers will handle themselves. Saddleback started with 200 people attending, and that was on Easter, which is a pretty easy day for getting people to come to church. They grew to 100 times that amount by doing exactly what I said earlier, not being shy about their message and understanding why people want to attend church. Again, Purpose-Driven Church, read it. A great marketing book, even if you're not trying to build a church. I'm not trying to build a church. Read it. Great book. Perhaps the best example of social proof in church marketing isn't the number of people at a service, though. It's the fact that a large percentage of people attend church or have a certain belief system simply because their parents do. In short, if your friends and family are doing something, you are likely to do it as well. Social proof works. Focus not only on getting as many people on board with you as possible, but also the important people, the family members, industry leaders, and people who are respected within the community that you're trying to connect with. Number 5, give the demo. Jesus didn't wait to show people what he could do until he'd signed them up as followers or taken their money. You didn't have to sign up for his coaching or buy his book or go to his seminar to see his best work. Whether it was healing a blind man, cleaning a leper, or curing a bleeding woman, he did the work first and trusted what followed. I recently saw a conversation online between coaches. As a coach, should you or shouldn't you offer a trial session? And if you do offer a trial session, should you charge a nominal fee for it or do it free of charge? Those are the 2 questions being asked. If you're a coach or consultant, I say do a free session. Not only will this give you an opportunity to make sure the potential client is a good match for you, it also is an easier jump for somebody to go from a free session to a full price session than a discount session to a full price session. Free and full price are 2 totally different things because nobody is actually paying you anything on the first session. A free and discount price are 2 completely different things because going from free to full price works because they're 2 completely different things. That's because nobody's actually paying you anything for the first session. It's a totally different service designed to give a customer a taste of what you do. On the other hand, when somebody pays a discount rate for your first session, instead of giving it to them free, his perception is that he's basically getting a bargain on something you'd normally charge a lot more for. That's going to get you a lot of price buyers, a lot of bargain hunters. The 2 types of clients that you don't want. It sets a bad precedent for the amount of money you feel your service is worth, and you're going to have a hard time getting any more after doing it once. And what would Jesus do? He'd give the demo without any commitment. Once people see that you can help, they'll come around. Trust me. Number 6, start marketing early. Like banks that market to college students or cigarette companies that give out samples to kids, churches start their marketing process as soon as possible with special activities for kids and services like daycare for new parents. Once people sign up for a bank or start smoking a certain brand of cigarettes, they don't switch. And the same is true for people who follow a certain belief system, such as religion. I've already talked about it. It's social proof, but it also has to do with inertia. Most people follow the exact same belief system as their parents. Inertia is extremely powerful. For example, somebody who loves Ford trucks is unlikely to purchase a GM brand. And if you're not in the habit of exercising on a regular basis, it's doubtful that you'll ever start. But the good news is that momentum, once you get it going, can work for you. If you've got a great product or service and you can reach people before they've decided on something else, it's unlikely they'll leave you for something else later. This is the reason that General Motors has several automobile brands. Most people don't start at the top. Most people start with something low end. And for GM, that's the Chevrolet brand. Then they work themselves up the ladder. Pontiac, Buick, Oldsmobile, those were all part of the plan to get you behind the wheel of a Cadillac. Eventually. Even Jesus himself said, "Let the children come to me," Matthew 19:14. Are you doing the same thing and getting into the hearts and minds of potential clients as early as possible? If your product or service is made for advanced people, do you have something that you could develop that would be appropriate for beginners? Start at the bottom and work your way up. That's what your customers are going to do, so let them do it with you. Number 7, tell the story. The message of Jesus and how it's been spread. Stories. It's happened for centuries. There's stories in the Bible, stories in Sunday school lessons, and stories given by the church leadership during services. When a Christian witnesses to a non-Christian, he tells stories. Chick tracts, they contain stories. Stories sell. Your stories don't have to be complicated. Oftentimes, I'll work with clients who are sitting on great stories, simple stories, but have no idea because they're so close to them. Let me give you an example. I once did some work with a record pressing plant in Nashville. I'm talking about a literal record pressing plant, vinyl records being stamped out by big-ass machines. This company began making records in 1949. There's a huge history there. They've worked with a ton of people, the Beatles, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, just to name a few, and they're still cranking out records today in a world where we don't sell CDs, cassettes, everything is digital. They're still going. So there's a story there too. But the biggest story about this company is something far less sexy and far more human. When the company first opened its current location in 1962, the South in general, also where I am, where this company is, Nashville, Tennessee, it was still segregated. And many of the black customers, the executives, the musicians they were working with, they had trouble finding hotels and restaurants that would offer them service. Two of its biggest clients, you've heard of Motown, the other was called VJ Records. They were labels run by people of color, and in response to that, because they wanted to do business with these labels, the company built an apartment-style living space right on top of the plant, on the second floor, right above where the records were being pressed. Today, this area is still there, and more or less, it's the exact same space as it was in the 60s. Same decor, same furniture, the exact same kitchen. That's a story. It shows a personal side of the company. It's memorable, and it shows that when you do business with this company, you're working with somebody who does much more than press grooves into vinyl. And everybody has a story like that. What is yours? One final thought, it's a bonus idea for you. It's worked for Christianity. It works for all religions, and it will work for your company. One of the big benefits of religion, again, not just Christianity, is that it puts the world in order. It simplifies the unknown, and it gives people direction. Your product, your service, they're no different. People like direction. They don't like the unknown. They want to know things will be okay. They like rules. Focus on that. Give them structure. Then you'll have all the customers and all the business that you want. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. redpodcast.com is the website. You can subscribe via iTunes. Search for Real Entrepreneur Development. While you're there, we'd appreciate a good review. That will help us come up more often in the iTunes search engine, help us to develop the Real Entrepreneur community. Hope you're having a great holiday season, finishing out a great year, and preparing for an even better one. I'll see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.